All right, hey guys, what's going on? My name is Chris Hawkes, and this is your Best Life Defined. How you doing today? I'm doing pretty good. I'm struggling a little bit with the podcast. I'm trying to get my rhythm on this. I think that what happened for me, and this is the third take, and we kind of took a different avenue. I'm working on some stuff, kind of got me a little confused. But what I did was I pulled away from what I'm normally talk about, and I started going outside my comfort zone. I think that's where it's at. But so let me ask you a question here. Why'd you do it? When you wake up and you take a look around at your life, or you're sitting in your chair and you just have a little quiet time and you're thinking about what you've created for yourself as far as your life goes, do you actually have the reason? Do you can justify why you did it? Do you know why you did it? Most people don't know why they make the choices they do. I mean, they do in generally. The idea is that you were taught to live the same life as everyone around you, right? Your parents taught you, the people around you taught you. As a child, you looked around and you said, oh, well, people have a life. In order to have a good life, a wonderful life, we have to have the house and the car and all the stuff. And it's okay to work, and debt's fine. There's no problem with debt. That's why you did it. I know you, and that's why I did it. That's why everyone does it. Nothing worse than being different, right? Nothing worse than showing up at an all a black tie event where black is the color and you show up in white, right? You want to be like everybody else. There's a problem with that. You don't get anywhere beyond where they are. If you continue on the path you're on, and granted, why'd you do it? Because everyone does it. Why'd you buy that big ass house? Because everyone buys big houses. Why did you decide to go in debt? Because everyone decides to go in debt. Changing your life, whether it's living your best life, whatever you want to call it, comes down to looking at the motivation for why you do what you do. And not only that, but finding reasons to escape that, to find better motivations to take new action to change that. See, the reason that most people can't actually escape this sticks and bricks life with the debt and the cars and all the stuff is because all of our resources are tied up in that endeavor, right? Think about it. How much your house payment, your car payment, all the credit cards, the cell phones, by the time you get done trying to sort it all out, there isn't much left. And then, of course, there's the other issue of time and work. How many hours a day do you spend working? Here's an important thing. Most people spend 8 or more hours a day working doing something they hate. Now, will they admit it? No, most people won't admit it. That doesn't change the fact that it's true. That doesn't change the fact that one of their coping mechanisms is to show up at home and drink beer all evening long, every evening. Why'd you do it? Back when you were 18, when you were first starting out, when you didn't have the debt, you had the job, it seemed like you had an abundance of money, and then you go get into debt because you have to have an apartment, and then one thing leads to the other, and then here comes the stuff. Why did you do it? Why did you choose exactly the life that you chose? It's ingrained. It's ingrained in who you are. The examples are prevalent. I think it's amazing. I've said it before, but I think it's amazing that we embrace the idea that debt is a good thing. I mean, someone comes over and says, oh, I bought a house. Well, no, you didn't. You borrowed money to try and purchase a house, but you haven't paid the money back. And as we're going to see with the COVID-19 crisis, this here thing we're dealing with right now, that when you still owe money on the property that you bought and you financed, and then you can't pay the balance that's on that property, guess what they do? They take your stuff back. And I'm afraid that's where we're at. A lot of people don't realize it, but the moratoriums on foreclosures and evictions hasn't been lifted yet, right? Still trying to keep things limping along, and in the meantime, landlords and banks are just sitting back, waiting for that day when they can have permission to actually kick people out, and that's what they're going to do. Now, you might think, well, what's this have to do with why I do the things I do? Well, it kind of establishes something. Some of those choices that you made might not be the best idea right now. I see people driving around, they got new dealer tags. Well, of course they got new dealer tags. Cash is tight. So dealers are offering incentives, banks are offering incentives to get more of your money, to get you obligated to debt. And why'd you do it? Why did that guy go out and buy a new car? Feels good to buy a car. Feels good. Got a new car, yeah. Ooh. And then we paint up these pictures in our mind about how great it is to have it. And more than that, it's the image. It's the image that we can present on social media, on Facebook, and drive around our neighborhoods as if someone cares. And sure, your friends are going, oh, that's a nice car. But what does it do for you? See? Why'd you do it? I bought this fifth wheel because I love to travel. People say, well, that's crazy. You got to have a safe place to live. Okay, I have a safe place to live. Do this podcast because it helps me become a better person. Do this podcast because it helps me make decisions in my own life that make it better. And I thought, well, hell, I'm spending all this time working on me. Why don't I just go ahead and just put it out there? I'll show the world what I'm thinking, what I'm doing. When I think about why did I do it, that's an ongoing question. The question with every choice we make is why. Why? What's the pros and cons of it? Why are we going to do it? And God forbid, the last thing you want to do is make your life worse, right? So what are the steps? Well, the steps are first and foremost to be honest. See, that's the struggle. We get into these positions where we will wake up 3 days a month or 3 days a week wishing the day were already over because you're encumbered by so much crap you have to do. But instead of facing that burden and saying, okay, I'm about done with this, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to change something, or you're asking yourself why you did it, why you decided to go in debt and trap yourself, we just accept it. Oh, well, I'm happy. The happy card always comes out too. That's that happy card. That's when you're grinding it out. You know that your life isn't as wonderful as social media, as it looks like on social media, and yet there you are grinding it out, and you're actually presenting people with that idea that you're actually happy. People do it all the time. I know someone right now who actually quit their job to get unemployment in March when the benefits came out. And according to the picture on social media, they are just living their dream. But I know them personally, and they're barely getting by. But if you were to look at their social media posts, they're right there with everyone else. They're just living it, living large, right? Life in abundance, right? It's okay for you to have stuff. It's okay for you to buy the things that you want, as long as you have a good enough reason to buy them. And I think that's where this whole thing gets kind of construed. See, you want a house, you want a fancy car, you want nice stuff. But why do you want it? What's the true motivation for why you want it? So it makes your life better? How does owning a 3,000 square foot house with miles and miles of lawn make your life better if what you truly enjoy is going out every day hiking, camping, fishing, hunting, doing whatever it is, any place but where you're at, right? That's why we got rid of the RV. Got rid of the house, because the house, I was sitting there and I was working my butt off just like I do now, but the problem was it wasn't anything I enjoyed. And all I had to do was say, honey, why do we do this? Now, few of us are going to admit that it's about the lessons we've learned. It's about training. Well, I love I love trucks. Compared to what? Compared to going fishing every day? Compared to going golfing 3 days a week? Compared to having enough money in the bank where if you have a spontaneous moment where you want to take a month off from work to go travel, you can? Why'd you do it? Okay, enough of that. Let's get on with it. How are you going to fix it? How are you going to fix it? Well, my suggestion for you to fix it is to sit back in a quiet place and try a little personal honesty with you and your partner. Have a serious conversation about how you truly feel about your life. And even if your relationship isn't ready for that, maybe it's okay for you just have that conversation with yourself. So shut the phone off. Take a walk, go sit in the park, go do something where you can just clear your mind and reflect on your life. This is where the subtraction and the addition come in. Simple math, right? Make a list of the things that you do and why you do them. If you don't have good enough reasons to do them, in other words, if you can't get all excited and say, well, yeah, hell, I love doing that. This is cool. I love doing this. I'm holding on to this. Then it probably goes into the pile of stuff you need to get rid of, right? You don't have to do that anymore. If it's not enjoyable, if it's not inspiring, if it doesn't bring you in the direction of your dreams, then you probably have to change something. That's just the way it is. And on the other side of that coin is the idea of doing what inspires you. Well, I do this because it's a burden. It's a struggle. I see big things coming from it somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where yet. There are days when I think, God, why do I do this? But I've made a commitment at least to 365 of these bad boys. A year worth of podcasts. Now, I'm not sure where it's going to go from there. I don't know. Maybe by then I'll be just tired of it and say, okay, guys, I'm done. But I know why I'm doing this. I'm doing this to build a platform to help people. Even if every message I put out, even if only one message I put out a week is worth a damn, that's still more effort than I would have done had I done nothing, right? So I know why I do it. I know why I wake up at 5:30 in the morning. I wake up at 5:30 in the morning so I can get a handle on my book and on the other things I do. And those things that I do are based on inspiration for higher goals. Knowing where I'm going or having this idea of where I want to be. Before I die, I want to actually be able to say, yeah, I'm a published author. And I wrote a book, 2 books, 3 books. Why? Hey, got to be about something, right? Got to be about something. The RV book, I have a feeling it's going to supplement. It's going to help. It's going to add a little bit of boost to our income, I would imagine. There's a pretty big market for that right now. So I think that's part of the motivation right there. But that's why I do it. If you look at your life and you ask yourself questions about why you do the things you do, and you're honest with yourself about where you're going and what you would like to see in your life, that's where it starts. It starts by asking yourself, why did I do it? Okay, and even with that, why do you do it? You know why you work, right? You work because you have to pay for the obligations that you have, the financial obligations you have, on top of you work because you have to survive, right? And if the things that you're working for don't add the value to your life that you expect, or that there are other things that you would prefer to do that add more value to your life, then guess what you're obligated to do? You're obligated to change something. Now, this is where the burden comes in. This is why most people have the inability to take action. 2 modes of action are usually what drives people to change. One action is the fact that they cannot endure the current conditions any longer, and they have to escape those conditions, so they take action, right? When it's painful enough, people take action. And the other motivation is that they have such a higher view, or an inflated view of their destination to such a degree that even when they don't want to do it, they continue to do it because they believe, at least in their own story, whether it's true or not, that it's taken them to a place they dream of. 2 motivations. Which one's yours? Which one is yours? Which motivation are you going to pick that's going to cause you to sit down and say, why did I do it? Or if you're with a couple, if it's a couple, you and your partner, why did we do it? That's where it's going to start. That's where things are going to change in your life. That is where you have to start in the evaluation process if you want to ever start living your best life. And I just throw that out there. This is kind of a dry podcast. I realize that, but sometimes we just lose sight of it. Sometimes we just lose sight of why we make choices beyond the influence of those around us. And that's where the burden comes in. How can we be a bunch of individuals doing exactly the same thing? Well, I can tell you it's because of the marketing works, right? The marketing works. It's that cell phone, it's that cell phone. You look at it, and this bad boy right here, this is a tool, right? This cell phone. But you look at it, and it just barrages you with ideas and information that most isn't relevant. And at least distracts you from being able to actually have a clear mind to think about why you make the choices you make. So before you make any more choices in your life that are going to change your life in any direction, ask yourself why. Ask yourself why it's so important for you to do that. It's okay if you don't rush in. It's okay if the guy says, well, this is the last one. Doesn't matter. This whole market right now has been driven by scarcity, which seems to be working, but it's not sustainable. And the point is, if you miss out on an opportunity, there's plenty of opportunities behind it. All you got to do is just keep scanning the horizon. So, hey, keep that in mind. I'm going to keep showing up. Like I said, I appreciate you guys, this follows and the downloads, and not every one of these is going to be great, but I'm going to keep doing it because I've made a commitment to me and I've made a commitment to you, and together we can live our best life. So until next time, just remember, today's your day. Make it a good one.